Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're back online, and for those of you who are listening in or stream, it's the PM stream for today's hearing. We're gonna deal with item 17, which I believe was the last item on the agenda for the morning slot. So we are at item 17, and this is 3 Fairway Drive. And we have Mehran Hedri as the applicant. All right, Mehran, you with us?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mehran. So just stay with us for a moment, and we have, what I've been advised by city staff is that some of the residents may have appointed a representative to speak on behalf of all of them, but just to be sure, I will still do the roll call and confirm with all the residents in case there's independent speakers who would like to speak. Okay, but for those of you who have chosen your representative, I believe that is Natalie Catalano as the chosen representative. I will check with each one of you. So on the list, the first one is Margherita Vasilev. Margherita. Yeah, just put your mic on, Brian, so that, yeah, just keep it on.
Through the chair, this person has not signed in today.
Okay, so Margherita has not signed in today. Next one, Evelyn Hill. Evelyn, you're with us?
Yes, I will speak very briefly and then let Mr. Catalano speak for the rest.
Okay, all right. So Evelyn would like to speak, and then will be represented, Natalie will be representing Evelyn. Fanny Lozon.
I am here in attendance. I would also like Natalie to speak on my behalf as well, although I do want to make one quick statement.
Okay, so quick statement from Fanny as well, although they've chosen Natalie as their speaker. And is Natalie or Natalie? Natalie, I believe. Brian, can we have Natalie, please?
It's Natalie Catalano.
Thank you very much, Natalie. So Natalie, I understand you are the designated representative from the residents?
I am.
Okay.
I would defer to the others to speak first, and I'll speak at the end. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you very much. Then we have Sanjeet and Harminder Rihal. Sanjeet and Harminder Rihal.
Through the chair, these individuals have not signed in today.
Okay, thank you. So I'm confirming Sanjeet and Harminder Rihal have not signed in today. Then we have Iltihab Hassan. Do we have Iltihab Hassan? Iltihab, can you speak, please? Hello, is Iltihab online? Okay, so Iltihab is online, but we can't hear you. Iltihab, can you say something? Okay, I do not hear Iltihab. Then we have Susan Bainey. Susan Bainey, are you with us? Sure, no problem.
Through the chair, the speaker has not signed in today.
Okay, so Susan Beanie has not signed in. So I'm going to go back to the three speakers who we did find online. So Margarita was not online, right? Or Margarita was, sorry.
She was not signed in through the chair.
She was not signed in.
Correct.
Okay.
So the speakers I have
Evelyn, Fanny, and Natalie.
And the,
That's-
correct.
Okay. So I'm going to repeat, we checked in with all the registered speakers, and so far we've only gotten through Evelyn Hill, Fanny Lozon, and Natalie, who is the designated speaker. So Evelyn Hill, please go ahead.
Thank you. My comments have largely been superseded by the staff report.
Through the chair, I'm sorry to interrupt, through the chair, I don't believe you've asked the applicant if they wish to speak.
Oh my God, oh, thank you. Sorry. Thank you for reminding. So coming back to, sorry, Evelyn, my apologies, I just, the order of the discussion was errored. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to start with Mehran, please. So Mehran, can we have you, please?
Yes, Madam Chairman. Actually, I wanted to talk at the beginning, and there is no way to communicate in the system,
Okay.
no chat,
No.
no hanging.
That's okay, no,
So,
but you know
yeah,
what, staff is watching me, so they would intervene if I'm doing something incorrect. So thank you for your patience. So Mehran, do you have a presentation that you would like to make?
Actually, because my client was busy and I didn't have opportunity to talk with her, so we want to defer this application because communicating with the counselor's office and the neighborhood, and after come back the next time.
So you actually want to defer the application?
Yes, please.
Through the chair, the applicant should provide a reason, a clear reason for the deferral for the committee to consider this request.
Yes, I want to have the opportunity to talk with the counselor office, and after that, talk with the neighbors of the community, and if we can see some result or conclusion in the meeting with them, we can come to the committee again.
Okay, and just for record, Miran, are you aware of the community planning staff report that is recommending refusal of the application?
Yes, I know.
Okay, all right. So do you anticipate any further discussions with community planning as well?
Yes, I want to have this opportunity, yes.
Okay. Member M, you have a comment?
Yes, this is for the applicant, Mirhan. I just wanted to say, while you're preparing to resubmit your application, I encourage you to endeavor to meet the requests of community planning. What you have here is a request that on the surface appears that you're trying to circumvent having to rezone the property to allow for a semi-detached house on site. And that was community planning's major concern. And so without substantial changes to your application, I don't necessarily see anything that could be sort of mediated between the two. So I just hope you understand exactly what community planning is asking of you, because even if you were to come back with slightly changes to the proposal, if fundamentally it still appears to be a semi-detached dwelling, you're going to be in front of the exact same situation that you are now. So I just heed you to consider those things while going back to do your consultations.
That is a very good point.
Yes, I know, but we are not going to rezone or making the semi-detached. I agree with the planning department and the councillor that we are not going to have the semi-detached. The semi-detached is not matched with the character of the neighborhood, for sure. And what we wanted to do, we wanted to have the opportunity to explain the situation, because what we have right now, we have the building, and addition to the existing building, we have two entrance doors, and the character of the building is not changing. So the only things that we are changing is the bylaw variance that we are dealing with. So I hope I
think that this is the problem. You don't fully appreciate or understand what community planning is trying to tell you. So because of your design, I know you feel that this is a secondary unit. The way it looks, because of how it's designed, it does not appear so. It appears to look like a semi-detached dwelling because of how you have the doors and garage fronting on the main wall. So, like I said, unless you make very significant changes to your design, it's not going to be a fruitful discussion with either the counselor or community planning or the general public for that matter. And when you do reapply, you'll be right back before us with these same concerns. So I just want you to really take a step back and really go back and understand why these have popped up, because I just don't want to waste your time and the good people that have joined us today for this hearing if we're just going to come back and be in the same position that we are in right now. Thank you.
You know, I don't know, you are aware that we have the permit for this elevation that is in front of you. The elevation that is in front of you, we have the permit for it. And the
That
building
cannot
is
be.
almost,
How could you have a building permit if you do not meet your zoning? So before you can even have an approved permit, you have to meet the zoning bylaw, which right now you do not because you have 2 variances before you. So you must be misunderstood. And I'm not sure if you are a planner or if you are an architect, but I would highly recommend that the owner get themselves a land use planner to represent them so they can fully understand the situation here.
okay, I hope I can explain to you. So you didn't let me finish my word. You know, the house that is in front of you, the elevation, it's exactly permit approved drawing, and the builder is built the house and the framing is passed, and right now everything that is in front of you has permit. The only variance that we have is secondary unit. We are not changing elevation based on the approved permit. So I'm explaining this situation to the committee and the neighborhood. If the
But
city
you're
allow us
asking
to have,
for an addition,
Okay,
right? And that addition is new.
yes, it's addition, yes.
Exactly. So that addition does not have permits, or else we would not be here today.
No, the addition has permit.
Through you, Madam Chair,
okay.
can we have some clarification from staff? Because I don't understand how
So,
a building permit for this addition, unless it was like retroactive and then they realized after the fact.
so we
that
don't
it
have
did
that
not-
information, Amy, as you know. What I can tell you is from the information that we received on the agenda is that it's a currently under construction building. Whether that addition was approved or built or not, we don't know, we don't have those details, and I'm not sure if staff here have those details as well. What I can tell you in reading the report is that for what's being proposed, it would constitute not just an issue related to a variance, but as far as my understanding is that it probably would be a different type of built form and a product that's not permitted in the zone to begin with, which is a semi-detached. So the way the semi-detached dwelling is defined is that there are 2 units side by side, and this is exactly what's being proposed, which is not permitted in the current zoning. And hence the reservations from community planning staff that does not qualify or does not meet the 4 tests, and hence the refusal recommendation. So to your point, Amy, I'm going to go to the applicant. I think, Mehran, you have 2 options here. We understand what you're trying to do here, but unfortunately, it's something that needs a little larger discussion with community planning staff so that they can help you understand what the concerns are. So you have 2 options here. Either we make a decision on this application today, or you, as suggested by you, defer the application so that you take your time to understand the issues at hand and discuss with not just community planning staff, but also counselor's office or residents or whoever you wish to speak to. So you have 2 options. Which one would you like to proceed with today?
Yeah, my request is for deferral
Okay.
to communicate with them and explain the situation. I believe they didn't have the opportunity to talk to me, and me too. And because there is a permit, there is an approved permit drawing, and I'm not changing anything on the character of the existing permit or anything.
Okay.
So this is very reasonable discussion with them.
Sir, it's the use that's not
Amy,
permitted.
Amy, 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 that's fine.
Sorry.
That's fine. Okay, So we have a
not
request,
the-
so the applicant's requesting for a deferral. He has been advised of all the concerns of the residents. He has a community planning staff report in his hand. He can review it and he can get some more information from community planning or whoever he wants to have. His request is for deferral. Our job here is to review, consider that request. Now, over to you, committee. Are we prepared to consider a deferral request as presented? Member Macaulay.
Madam Chair, I support the applicant in his request for a deferral. I would suggest that this is a deferral sine die when he's had sufficient time to discuss his applications with community planning and with the building department and with the counselor. At that time, he should inform the committee staff that he wishes to come back before us. So I propose a motion of deferral, sine die.
Thank you. I think the reason for deferral was quite explicit, and it has been captured in the motion as well.
Through the chair, maybe the neighbors as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
so in
I'll add that.
consultation with the neighbors, so consultation with community planning, with building department, with the counselor's office, with the residents and whoever in addition they wish to consult with. So we have a motion on the floor. May I have a seconder, please? Member Saeed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion for approval.
Okay, all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried unanimously and the application has been deferred sine die for reasons as expressed in the motion. And I strongly encourage the applicant and the owner to please have a discussion with community planning staff to be able to understand what issues there are with regards to the zoning and the permitted uses and the permitted type of housing on the property. Thank you very much. Okay, that brings us to the end of the agenda, and for the morning session, after when we start the afternoon session, we'll be dealing with items 18 to 34. On that note, I would ask the committee members of the lunch break required. So how long would you require for a break? How much time do you need?
I would say at least half an hour, Madam Chair.
Okay, so we have 30 minutes. Anybody else? Does 30 minutes work for everyone? Okay, all right. So we have a 30-minute break. So this is what, 2:05? So we should be back at approximately what time, staff?
I'd say 2:35.
Okay, so 2:35 we resume and we will get into the afternoon session dealing with items 18 to 34. Thank you, everyone. Have a good lunch.
Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Committee of Adjustment hearing for the Scarborough District for the afternoon session. Today is September 22nd, 2021. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, which is an online digital platform and streamed onto the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, which is an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching it on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, or a tablet app. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participant will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute all your devices until you are called on to speak. Before we begin, we acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Chippewa, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, including Inuit and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that applies to a property, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever a property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wishes to receive a copy of the decision of the committee, anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on any application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because Committee of Adjustment and the T-Lab will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, T-Lab, or in some limited circumstances, to the Ontario Land Tribunal or the OLT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. In terms of hearing procedure, I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or the applicant will proceed with their presentation if required. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will then comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. We are certainly here to listen to your concerns that you may have, but repeating the same comments will not advance your cause. The applicant or the agent will proceed first and will make presentations to the committee of the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if it's substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those who are entitled to receive the notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or in opposition to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Please note that we are going to be, for this afternoon session, dealing with items 18 to 34. Members of the panel and staff, are there any declarations of interest for items in this time slot?
Through the chair, there are no declarations of conflict of interest.
I have a declaration of conflict of interest for item number 24. I see none from other panel members. Thank you. For that item, I would request Member M to please chair the session. Deferral
My pleasure, Madam
requests.
Chair.
Thank you. Deferral requests. Are there any requests for deferral, Deputy Secretary Treasurer?
Through the chair, there are none.
Thank you very much. We do not have any requests for deferral at this time. We will now begin to vet the agenda for items number 18 through 34. Just give me a moment. Okay, so starting with item 18, we have, the address is 32 Rangeley Drive, and there's a speaker registered. Do we know if that speaker is from the applicant or is from the neighbors? It's Marina.
Through the chair, Marina has not signed in. I'm just going to check to see if she called in instead.
Okay.
Through the chair, the speaker has not signed in today.
The speaker has not signed in today. Okay, so we will, perhaps what we can do is, because I don't know what the status of this resident is, whether they're in opposition or in support. So how about this? I will come back to this item and deal with it once I've vetted the agenda, just to give an opportunity, but I will certainly not move it beyond the vetting of the agenda. Item 19, we have Chris Zianis, and the address is 43 Rengsburg Drive. We do not have any registered speaker, but can we have Chris, please?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chris. So we have your application before us for 43 Rengsburg Drive. Let me ask the committee if they have any questions. Members of the committee, any questions for Chris at this time? I see none. Chris, do you have any comment to make?
I do not.
Okay, all right. So there's no comments, no questions. Members of the committee, are you prepared to put forward a motion? Member M?
Is the applicant aware of the urban forestry condition number 2?
It's not on the development website, but I'm assuming it's something standard that, yes, we are willing to
Yeah,
comply
it's
with.
just to apply to have a permit to injure, I think it's city-owned tree. Is that correct, Madam Chair?
That is correct. It is a city-owned tree.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. So subject to the urban forestry conditions, I'm prepared to put forward a motion of approval for item number 19.
All right. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion for approval, subject to the urban forestry condition.
All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved subject to condition of urban forestry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to item 20. Item 20 is 23 Windy Ridge Drive. And I just want to check another speaker registered, but not sure if what the status of this speaker is. So if you can have Christopher Birch. Brian? Christopher Birch, are you with us?
Christopher Birch here.
Okay, Christopher, could you please confirm if you're here in support of this application or in opposition?
In opposition.
Okay, thank you for confirming that. So it's because there is a speaker, Christopher Birch, who has concerns with this application, we will hold down this item and come back to it. So item number 20 is being held for discussion. Item number 21, Kelvin Lowe. Is Kelvin with us?
Through the chair, this is 1069 Huntingwood Drive.
That is correct.
Okay.
Item 21, 1069 Huntingwood Drive. Kelvin Lowe is the agent.
Through the chair, I believe the speaker today is going to be Louise Yang.
Okay. All right, so is Louise Yang with us?
Hello?
Hello, hi, are you with us?
Hi, yeah, I'm Louise Young.
Okay, all right, we can hear you.
Sorry.
No problem, no problem. So you're the agent or the owner of this application?
I'm the application. I'm from KCC Architect.
Oh, you're the architect on the application, and you're going to be speaking on behalf of the owner today?
Yeah, I'm representing the homeowner of 1069 Huntingwood.
Okay, thank you very much. So just give me a moment. Members of the committee, we have the architect with us who's representing the owner today. Any questions for the applicant or the agent? Member Macaulay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a quick question for the applicant. And that is, what is the purpose of this deck? I see it's a very large deck and it meets all three of your property lines.
Yes. Okay, so because of the grading condition, there is a slope at backyard. So if we don't make that area of the deck, there will be hole. It's not safe. That's why we put the deck like with 0 setbacks.
And how do you get to the deck then if there's a grade? Is it kind of a low area, swampy, or?
So the deck will be flat and we will put posts. Like if you check the drawing, there are some elevations show the slope. And there's a
elevation
high railing
A4.
at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an elevation drawing A4 that shows the, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, we also put the railing at the back.
Okay. I guess my question is, what's the purpose of this very large deck? And I guess you're looking at your plan, the only way of getting to it is from the back yard of the house all the way to the back of the property line, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the purpose of the deck?
So we just avoid to make the grade like not even.
Madam Macaulay, I'm just not sure as to the purpose of the question from a planning related matter. I think it's just that the area is super steep and they would like to be able to utilize that part of their backyard is what I was hearing.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think that's correct. I was surprised that we had no comments from any of the residents. But our decision is not based on their comments in any case. So thank you very much for your answers.
Okay, all right. On that
Thank
note,
you.
okay, thank you. On that note, committee, are we prepared to put forward a motion? Okay, please go ahead. Member M, please go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair, I put forward a motion of approval of item number 21. I feel that it's sort of a site-specific, unique situation to optimize the rear yard space for this property and ensure safety by sort of dealing with the very extreme grade changes on the property. don't see there being any impact as this is not a structure, right? In terms of there being any massing to it, it's just a leveling out of the grade through a deck. So I do feel it's appropriate development for the lot, minor in nature, and meets the intent of both the official plan and the zoning bylaw. And I don't see, oh, there is an urban forestry condition number 2. Is the applicant aware of that condition?
So applicant, or are you aware of the conditions of urban forestry?
So what's the question again? Sorry.
So the question is, so in urban forestry department has recommended a
Yeah.
condition. Then the condition is that it's condition number 2, and which is that you obtain a permit or you submit an application for a permit to injure or remove a privately owned tree on the property.
Oh, yeah, we accept.
You accept it, okay.
Okay, so my motion still stands, subject to the urban forestry conditions. I put forward a motion of approval.
Okay, may I have a seconder? Member Taylor?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
All right, all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application is approved. Thank you. Okay, next item, item number 22 is for 38 East Park Boulevard. And I see there's a long list of speakers. So we will hold down this item. But at this point, I would strongly suggest if the speakers are listening in to ensure that we would prefer that you designate a speaker if your group wishes to do so. That would help you sort of facilitate the discussion and sort of keep the comments to focused on the application and there's no repetition. It's in the interest of the time and to make it a more efficient discussion. So if you're listening in, please make sure you, and if you wish to, please designate a speaker to speak on behalf of all the residents. Member M, you have a comment?
Yes, and through you, Madam Chair, I just would like to kindly acknowledge up front that the committee has reviewed all of the letters of opposition, and we have noted that there are some comments within those letters that while we are sympathetic towards are out of our jurisdiction, in which they don't directly relate to the variances at hand. So along with your note, Madam Chair, I just encourage people to once again focus on the variances before us, as that is what is in our jurisdiction to actually review and provide insight towards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so item 22 is being held for further discussion. Moving to item 23. Item 23, we have just the agent, no speakers. Can we have Saruj online, please? This is for item 23, 59 Shropshire Drive.
I'm here, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Saruj. So we have your application, and I believe that there are, just want to check if there are comments from Urban Forestry. There are no comments from Urban Forestry. So any comment at this time, or let me check with the committee members if they have any questions. Committee members, any questions? I see none. Saruj, any comment at this time?
Not really, no.
Okay, all right. So if there are no comments, can I please have a motion, committee members? Member Taylor, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm satisfied that the 2 requested variances meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval without conditions.
All right, we have a seconder. Member M, go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair, I second that motion.
All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried unanimously, and your application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now moving on to item number 24, which Madam Chair has a conflict and will be excusing herself. I will be chairing this item. Brian, can we please bring on the applicant? I believe it's Nadeem Ifran.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. My name is Nadeem Irfan, NIA Architects, 10 Milner Business Court, Suite 710, Scarborough, Ontario.
Thank you. Now, we do have two speakers on record. I don't have note whether they are in support or in opposition. So I'd like to just do a quick roll call to figure out whether these individuals are in support or in opposition. Do we have Frederick Hanna online? Frederick, are you there?
Through the chair, the speaker has not signed in today.
Thank you. And how about Natalie Scott? Do we have a Natalie Scott online?
Through the chair, Natalie has signed in.
Hello? Yes, I am here. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Just confirming if you are here in support or in opposition for this application.
I'm in opposition.
Okay, so thank you very much. Natalie and Nadeem, since we have a speaker in opposition, we will be holding down this item and we'll return to it in the main body of the hearing. So please hang tight. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can have Madam Chair back.
Thank you, Member M. Moving to item number 25, 99 Birchcliff Avenue. We have Tyler Walker as the applicant. Is he with us? All right.
I'm here.
Okay. So Tyler, we have your application before us. Members of the committee, any questions for Tyler at this time? Okay, Member M.
Tyler, are you aware of the two urban forestry conditions that are on file?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you're agreeable to those?
Yep, those are totally fine.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On that note, any further comment? I see none. Can I please have a motion? Member M, please go ahead.
For you, Madam Chair, I propose approval of item number 25, subject to urban forestry condition number 1 and number 2.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I second that motion.
All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application has been approved subject to conditions of urban forestry. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Item number 26 is 23 Wicklow Drive. And I don't see any other registered speaker other than the applicant or the agent. Can we have Sharon Chui Garcia, please?
Through the chair, Sharon has not signed in today, but we do have Norman Lee signed in.
Okay, all right. So I'll have Norman Lee.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you,
Madam Chair.
Norman. Thank you. So members of the committee, we have Norman. Any questions for Norman for a 23 Wicklow Drive application? I see none. Okay. Are there any comments from Urban Forestry? There are comments. So are you aware of the comments from Urban Forestry, Norman? And then do you have any questions or concerns?
I don't, and we will comply to the Urban Forestry's comments.
Okay, thank you very much. On that note, members of the committee, may I have a motion, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is only one variance before the committee, which is minor. So I would like to put forward the motion for approval of this application. And there is a condition of urban forestry.
Okay, may I have a seconder, please? Member Taylor, please go ahead.
I second, Madam Chair.
All right, all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Next item, item number 27, 3 Samia Court. And we have Zudong Tang.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hello, Zudong.
Hi, committee members.
Hi. So members of the committee, we have Mr. Tang with us. Any questions for Mr. Tang? I see none. Mr. Tang, any comments at this time?
No.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, if you have no questions or comments, can I please have a motion? Oh, sorry, Brian.
Through the chair, my apologies. I believe the address should be 32 Samia Court. It was
Yes,
it was
thank you.
mislabeled on the.
Okay,
on the
32
list.
Samia Court. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So just so you know, my agenda just broke. Okay, so 32, that's why I was relying on this. I didn't have the agenda. So 32 Samia Court, we have Mr. Tang. I checked with Mr. Tang and with the committee. There were no comments or questions. So can I have a motion? Mr. Said, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I put forward motion for approval of application number 27, which is 32 Samia Court. There are no conditions for this approval.
Okay, may I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
Right, all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, community.
Okay,
Thank you. Bye.
bye-bye. Next item is item number 28. And this is 123 Cockford Boulevard, and I see the agent and the applicant. So we have Cyrus Hembaz. Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, thank you. And Peter Gross.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Good afternoon. So I will ask the committee if they have any questions for either Cyrus or Peter on this application. And I don't think there are any conditions. In fact, we received no conditions and no objections from both the TRC and the RNFP. I see no other condition. Any questions for the applicant or the agent at this time? Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, for the applicant, I would like to just have their take on that. They are asking for further area to be included in the business activity. The GFA is going to increase consecutively 3 times over the last 3 years. But as far as the variance is concerned, they remain there right from 27 up to now, which is the distance between this production of marijuana property to the other properties, right? The variance's impact was small at the time when the business was small, but over the period, the business has multiplied 3 times. With that, the impact of this variance has grown up for the neighborhood property. So I would like to have a take of the applicant on that.
Sure, thank you, for you, Madam Chair. Over the duration of this
If I
business's
may
existence-
interrupt, sorry,
Yeah.
if I may interject for a second, sorry, I apologize for that. Mohammed, if you are considering a discussion, then it would be appropriate to hold this down rather than deal with it, because this may get into a longer deliberation. We're in the vetting session.
I agree, Madam Chair. Yes, if we can hold, that would be great.
Okay, all right. Well, Cyrus and Peter, I apologize for this, but I believe this would require a little bit more discussion. So we're going to hold down this item and come back to it to be able to address Member Said's comments. Okay?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much for understanding. Moving to the next one, this is item number 29. Item 29 is 1-2 Meadow Glen Place. And we have Lindsay Dale Harris as the agent.
Hello, I'm here to speak to this item.
Okay.
If you need anybody to speak to it, I have no comments.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, any questions for Lindsay? This is item 29. Member Said, please go ahead.
Lindsay, could you help me understand about the the number of dwellings allowed in block C, because this application give me an overall increase in the number of the dwellings in all that buildings from C to H. But I was not able to find out what exactly the number of units are allowed in building C for which the variances are there.
So Building C is subject to the provisions of bylaw 684/2012, and it allows 911 units on a bigger area. But in this case, because there have been a whole series of buildings which have been built at 1 and 2 Meadow Glen Place. And my letter to the committee set out the 16-story rental building, the 28-story condo building at 30 Meadow Glen Place, and now we've got a second tower at 20 Meadow Glen Place. And it was when we're doing this additional building and just looking at doing the layout on each floor, there were 3 floors where a more efficient unit design could be laid out. And so it was just those 3 floors, nothing to the exterior, nothing to the parking, nothing to the FSI, just an additional 5 units.
Okay, thank you very much. Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lindsay, I'm afraid I'm not getting the answer. Maybe I'm not very clear on that. So the overall impact is that there are 786 units are there from block C, from blocks B to H, right? And now this will increase to 916 units. So is there a difference of 130 units?
But there's an approval for 911 units. The approval is for 911 units.
If I could explain, Member Said, and then we'll hopefully not have to hold this item, is that the bylaw itself, 9510, originally had a limit of 786. However, in 2014, it went to the OMB, in which the board had put in an approval allowing 911 units, and that precedes whatever the bylaw was. So the variance before us is just to allow an additional 5 units, which was already permitted from the 911 from the OMB approval. So the difference is 5, not
130.
The difference between 7.
Yes.
So it's the variance from what was approved by the board. So the board approved 911 units. The application before us is asking for an increase of 5 more units to go from 911 to 916.
Correct.
Okay. Helps? Okay, all right.
I think that's clear because
Okay.
we have Mohammed nodding. So with that,
I'm okay with that. Yes, you are right, because at this point of time, the variance is the difference of 5 units, right?
Correct.
Which
Yes.
is going to be considered today. I was just asking this to having a better understanding that already the entire blocks have exceeded whatever the limits was over the years, right? Where the number was actually permitted number was 786, but the number has gone up to 911, right? Which is
From the
already
approved,
exceeded.
no, so board
From
approved
the-
911, okay? And then
Right.
this variance is for additional 5, equaling to 916.
5 units.
Yeah, it
It's
could be,
misleading.
it is. Yes, it certainly
It's
is
most
misleading,
misleading.
yeah.
because it was already
Go ahead.
the board takes precedence, right? And so they didn't actually have to come back and update the zoning as a result of the board decision. The board decision is basically what gets put into place. And so because they are requiring 5 more, it's actually a variance to the bylaw.
Correct.
But really the board decision takes precedence. And so it's very, very misleading. And we can't assume that it is an impact if the board itself already ruled that there was no impact. We need to be looking at it from the incremental rate of 5, not
Correct.
the original bylaw, which is now does not take precedence over the decision.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, everything, there's no change to the exterior of the building, and the parking meets it, the amenity space meets it, everything meets the bylaws, the board varied standard. It's only those little additional units on 3 floors because of the unit layout.
Very similar to her last application.
Thank you very much, Lizzie.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very similar to the last application where there is no change externally. It's the same building envelope where you are putting
Correct.
another 5 units.
Correct. And just as a
And you are
point of
right, David.
clarification, a minor variance or any relief that is sought is from the bylaw, the original bylaw. So the original bylaw stipulated 786, and that's what the variance is being sought for, although we know that the board had permitted or allowed for 911 units. But technicality comes in and you have to actually seek a variance from the original bylaw. Hence, there's a little bit of, it could be misleading, I agree with you, Member Said, but that's more a technical thing than anything.
Through the chair, I guess the simple mantra is you can't vary a variance.
Thank you. That's even better. Or you can vary a board decision here. Well, you could, but.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've had enough discussion on Planning 101. Let's get to the actual application itself. So I see Member M has her hand raised. Please go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair, I propose approval of item number 29. There are no conditions attached to that.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Bicali, please go ahead.
I will second that motion in spite of the confusion. It definitely is a minor variance.
Okay, all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried unanimously. The application's approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it is confusing, but it's very minor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item 30 is 121 Park Street. And again, there's a long list of speakers who wish to speak, so we are holding down item 30. Item number 31 is 1432 Military Trail. I do see a speaker, but again, I'm not sure if the speaker is in opposition support. So rather than holding it down and coming back, let's check with the gentleman here, Norman Heath.
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very faintly. Could you speak a bit louder, please?
I'm on the phone and the computer. Can I do something to increase the amplitude?
Sir, we can't hear you. Could you speak a bit louder?
Should I use the phone or should I use the computer?
You could use the computer, but if you feel that the voice quality is not the best, then you can use the phone. But at this point, all I want you to confirm is, are you in support of this application or have concerns?
No, I have concerns.
Okay, all right. So what I'm going to suggest is, so we're going to hold down this item and come back to it for further discussion and to hear your concerns. But meanwhile, what I would suggest you to do is check your microphone because we could barely hear you. Or if you want to phone in, you have the number with you, right?
I'm online. I have the phone on.
Okay.
I'm on the phone. I can hear you on my speakers, and I can also hear you on the phone.
Okay, all right. It's much better now. Okay, so just hang in there. We'll come back to you for further discussion, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so item 31 for 1432 Military Trail is being held for further discussion. Item number 32, 113 Macintosh Street. Do we have the agent, Peter Jurusik?
I am here.
Thank you, Peter. Members, so we have this application. It's a consent and a minor variance application. Item 32. Members of the committee, any questions for Peter? Member Said. And Member Macaulay.
Question. Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Peter, yeah. Mr. Peter, could you tell us about the...
Member Said, I want to remind you, Member Said, I want to remind you, we're during the vetting session. If you feel that you need more questions, you have questions that need more answers, then we have to hold this down.
Okay.
Member Macaulay also had a
This could be
question.
done very... Okay, so since there was no other speaker, so I thought if I have just a minute or less. question?
Just bear with me for a
Thank you, Madam
second.
Chair.
Just bear with me for a second. Member Macaulay? Yours is a simple question as well? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I can't raise my hand and press the mute and do everything else and figure out what I'm doing here. Simple question. It may be the same as Mr. Said. I don't care if we hold it or whether we ask the question.
Okay,
right
let's
now.
try it out. Let's start with Mr. Said. Mr. Said, ask your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Peter, could you tell us, you must be aware of this urban forestry report, and which is about the approval. So, are you thinking to consider it, or what is your take on that? Just in one word, I just want to hear that.
Well, we've worked with both planning department to make certain alterations with it. When urban forestry, if they want us to make alterations, we're willing to work with them. That's a separate process in terms of dealing with some questions from them. So I understand they have a question to look for alterations, and we always work towards helping out every department. We've been working with planning departments, so if forestry wants us to do some modifications that would help protect a tree, we're all for that. We've done that in the past where they've asked us to modify foundations to try to protect root structures, and we've done that after committee of adjustment situation to further modify foundation walls to help protect more trees, and we're willing to do that. And that's what they're asking, that they might require alterations. So my inclination is it might be something to do with some root protection, and we're fine with that kind of stuff.
I believe it's variance number 5 in particular is what they're looking at.
I'm looking at their notice in particular. Yeah, they do say that variance number 5 is a building length, which is 17.86 versus 17, unless we're talking about the other one, or you're talking about the B, right? The side yard setback. So any tree on that side, we would be willing to work with them to see what we can modify to make it to protect any tree that's a city-owned tree that will be required. And reducing the house even further will not affect anything here on the conditions.
I think
Oh, sorry, no, it is the length. It is the length.
It is the length, yes.
That issue, that was the one I was thinking about here. We've worked with the planning part in the forestry in the past by changing foundation walls. So the upstairs can still have that length and cantilevered above grade, and it's only below grade where we've pushed in foundation walls and created helical piles, to protect the roots. So we're willing to work with them to try to maintain the above grade should not be an issue, but to require the foundations to kind of look for protection of trees.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Peter, this is the, sorry, Madam Chair. Go ahead, Madam.
No, I'm just, this is a vetting session again. I must remind every member, we can't go on deliberating these items if we think we need to deliberate. I'm trying to get through the vetting.
I'm prepared to move a motion, Madam Chair.
Okay. Unless you're compelled, Member Said or Member Macaulay, to hold this down. You have to decide.
Madam Chair, I am okay if Member M is moving the motion at this point of time. These were the questions which were really important, and Mr. Peter was able to answer those.
Okay, all right. Member Macaulay, are you good to proceed?
I'm good to proceed.
Okay. Member M, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I put forward a motion of approval subject to the conditions of urban forestry. I know that there is conditions if we approve this application, and I feel that Mr. Jarusik has provided a response reasonable that item number 5 will be addressed through the different measure while dealing with urban forestry. So I am comfortable that this variance meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act. Thank you.
And the consent? There's two, okay.
Sorry,
So there are 2 applications. You have conditions of urban forestry, you have standard conditions of consent, you have conditions of engineering.
Let me start again. I apologize.
No problem.
Through you, Madam Chair, I put forward a motion of approval first for the consent application B0022/21SC. And I believe those will be subject to standard conditions of consent, as well as extra engineering conditions that we had seen in their report. I then move forward a motion of approval for minor variance application A0137/21SC, and also implement the urban forestry conditions to the minor variance approval. Thank you.
And there are two applications for minor variance, 136 and 137.
Oh, yes, sorry, my notes only had the first one.
No problem. And it's for each of the
Member
lots.
M, and Member M, do we have to change the urban forestry condition from condition number 5 to condition number 2?
It wasn't condition number 5. They just asked to deny variance number 5, and they asked us to implement the conditions.
Number 2.
Subject to us approving that, number 2. So we're
Through,
okay.
through the chair, for simplicity, you may just want to put the conditions on the consent, the engineering and the urban forestry, just on the consent.
Yeah, just all of them on the consent application.
Okay. I'll do it third time's charm. Okay, so I put forward a motion of approval for the consent application B022/21SC, subject to both the urban forestry conditions, the standard conditions of consent, and the additional engineering conditions within their report. I also put forward a motion of approval for both minor variance applications A0136/21SC and A0137/21SC.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion for approval for
That's it.
for the consent application.
You
as
you
well
just
as the
need to say,
variance.
yeah, you just need to say you second the motion, because we don't want to miss any of the things that were said in the motion. So all you need to say, you second the motion, unless you want to add something new.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I reword my motion. I second the motion for approval.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried unanimously and the applications are approved. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, we now go to item number 33. Item number 33 is 106 Beach Grove Drive. And we have just the agent as the speaker, so can we have Samantha Chow, please?
Hi, I'm here.
Thank you, Samantha. So we have your application before us, and let me check with our committee members if they have any questions. This is a consent application only. And we have all the, and you've looked at all the conditions and everything, and you have any questions?
No questions. We are fine
Okay.
with the conditions.
So you're fine with the engineering services conditions and standard conditions of consent and everything?
Yes, correct.
Under the sun? Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes.
Members of the committee, any questions of the applicant at this time? Okay, I see none. If there are no further questions, can I please have a motion? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this consent application. It is just a simple consent application dividing the property into 3 parts for future transference to other owners.
Okay.
There are no, I don't believe there's any conditions.
There are engineering services
There
conditions.
must be conditions, yes. Yes.
Okay. And standard conditions of consent. Okay. All right, may I have a seconder, please? Member M, please go ahead.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried unanimously, and the application for 106 Beach Grove Drive has been approved, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. We now move to item number 34, and this is a consent and a minor variance application combined. I don't see any speakers. We just have the agent, I believe. And can we have Richard DeBoss, please?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon, Richard. We're looking at your application. There were no conditions from engineering. There were no conditions from urban forestry. Any comment at this time?
No, no.
Okay. Members of the committee, consent application, any comments at this time? Questions? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I understand that this application has come up because of an error that was made previously. I'm somewhat confused as to what is the consent and what are the variances. I would appreciate a very short presentation from the applicant, if he doesn't mind that we hold this item to the end here.
It'd be my pleasure. So we'll start off with the
So,
consent
sir,
of why we're.
Richard,
Sorry.
sorry. So, Member Macaulay is suggesting that we hold down this item for a brief presentation. Unfortunately, I can't deal with this because I'm vetting the agenda right now, so it'll have to be held.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much. So, item 34 being held for some clarification that Member Macaulay needs. So we will hold on this item. That brings us to the end of the agenda, and I will quickly recap the items that were held for this session. Sorry, before I do that, I think I started with item 18, and I just want to check with the registered speaker who was there or not. So Marina Thembinagiam for item 18, 32 Rangeley Drive, or Rangeley.
Through the chair, the speaker has not signed in today.
Okay, all right, so the speaker has not signed in. I gave ample opportunity for the speaker to sign in, but unfortunately they can't. So let's deal with this item because I do not have any other speaker. So this is item 18, 32 Rangeley or Rangeley Drive. Can we have Syed Ahmed, please, as the agent?
Through the chair, it does not appear that they are currently signed in.
Okay, so 32 Rangeley Drive, it appears that the applicant is not signed in. Committee, I'm in your hands if you want to deal with this matter. We can certainly deal with it in the absence of the applicant unless the committee for some reason has any questions or would like to hold for further discussion. Member Said?
Madam Chair, may I suggest that the committee may proceed with this application because the variances before the committee are, I can see there are 4 variances, those are minor.
Okay.
So I think better we should proceed with that.
Sure. All right. Just 1 second. Staff is checking something for us. We can proceed? Okay. All right. So staff is saying we can proceed. So the application, I agree, is simple, straightforward. It's a 1-story rear elevated sunroom addition. So if the committee is prepared, can I please have a motion? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the motion for approval of application number 18. All the variances there are minor and there are no conditions attached to this approval.
Okay. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go
Madam
ahead.
Chair, I'll second that. I will second that motion.
Okay, all in favor of this motion? And the motion's carried unanimously. The application's approved. Thank you. Okay, so now we can deal with the rest of the items. So I'm just going to recap. We held item number 20. That was 23 Windy Ridge Drive. So we held down item 20. Then we held down item 22. Item 24. Item 28. Item 30. Item 31. And item 34. Perfect. Okay. So let's start with the first item that was held, and this is item number 20. 23 Windy Ridge Drive. Can we have Suruj, please? Thank you.
Hi, Madam Chair, I'm here.
All right, thank you, Suruj. So we have your application. There's a registered speaker, Christopher Birch, who we know is online. Would you like to make a presentation to the committee, or would you go directly to the questions?
Well, I think the drawings that we've submitted are pretty clear. The variances are pretty clear, so I think I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, any questions for Sarouj? Okay, I see none. All right, Sarouj, thank you. We will proceed with speaking with the resident. So can we have Christopher Birch, please? All right, Christopher, you with us? Okay, perfect. So Christopher, we did receive your written submission, which we have read as a committee. Is there anything in addition to what you've already submitted to us in written that you would like to
Yes, I'd like
advise us
to
of?
start- Yes, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. I'm also representing two of my neighbors who are unable to attend today due to work events. I'm at number 18 Bellhaven. They are at number 20 Bellhaven and 22 Bellhaven. And both those properties back onto the 23 Windy Ridge Drive. And they would just like me to reiterate our concerns that the garage extension from 2 cars to 3 cars would necessitate widening the driveway to a width of 8.9 meters. However, it's right on the curve of Windy Ridge and would affect, I believe, sight lines and cause serious concerns about the vehicles pulling in and pulling out onto Windy Ridge from the widened driveway. And that is a very serious concern for us. Also number 2, the area of the proposed terrace on the 2nd floor. Now the basement butt out comes out because of the grade. It's a full story looking at it from the rear, from 22 and 20 Windy Ridge. The terrace itself would have an area of 48 square meters and would be a height of 3 meters above ground at the back. And the neighbors are greatly concerned. Yeah, thank you. The neighbors are greatly concerned that the rear terrace would allow a large number of people to look over into their backyards and would compromise their privacy. We would request that the terrace be moved back onto the farther closer to the house, and that we're concerned about the large size and the height above ground for this proposed terrace. And finally, we'd like to keep as many as the mature trees on site as possible. The property slopes down into the backyards of number 22 and 20, and they are greatly concerned about runoff concerns that water would flow down into their backyards because of the heavy slope involved, and so that keeping as many mature trees on site would help to mitigate runoff concerns. The neighbor at number 22, he was digging some posts for a fence, and at 3.5 feet down, he hit the water table. It's quite high. Runoff is a serious problem in the neighborhood. There's many underground streams, and we're hoping that they will maintain as many mature trees on site as possible. The stairs for the terrace, which are located on the top of the drawing there, would mean taking out 2 mature trees, and we hope that, yes, that's it, that the stairway from the terrace to the ground could either be moved to the back or to the front of the property and keep those 2 mature trees intact. And also the extension for the garage in the front would also mean removing one of the mature trees on the front. It also, the garage extension means 3 variances for the garage and the widening of the driveway, and we are pretty concerned about all 3 of those issues. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Christopher Birch. Members of the committee, any questions for Christopher Birch at this time? Let me get all the screen up. Okay, Member Macaulay, sorry, whenever there's a delay, it's because I can't see the screen because it's, the plans are being pulled off. So there's always a little bit of a delay there. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
This is really a clarification to Mr. Birch and possibly to staff. I don't see that there is any variance for that terrace. there's a rear yard setback, but it seems that drawing seems to allow the terrace to be built in the rear, within that rear yard setback.
When we received the letter from, about the public hearing notice, it said the purpose of the application was to permit a second-story addition, garage extension, new covered front porch, and new terrace. So it appeared to us that that was in fact being, there was some roof extensions and roof overhangs that would relate to the new terrace. And we were greatly concerned that the size and the height of this new proposed terrace would not meet bylaw requirements.
Okay, thank you. I understand your concern, and that's why I went back and looked at the variances required. Perhaps the applicant can explain what he is proposing in that rear yard and whether that terrace requires any variances.
Correct. Member Macaulay, we will certainly give the applicant a chance to provide the response. Members of the committee, any other member has any question or clarification? Okay, I see none. Thank you very much, Mr. Birch, for taking the time to, oh, Member M.
I did have a small point of clarification for Mr. Birch as well.
Please go ahead.
So if you notice the plans that were circulated with the notice, sorry, my screen just jumped and it's no longer in front of me. Just bear with me for a second while I drag it back up. This is a corner lot, and because of that corner lot, it seems to, like you can see kind of the lines of the setback, and so how the setback is measured isn't just, what we would normally assume on a rectangular lot. And so it does appear to seem really aggressive in terms of the reduction of the front yard, but in actuality, it's only sort of like a pinch point of the sort of northern corner of the property, whereas like where the garage is and stuff almost meets that setback.
It's not.
It's a configuration situation. So I just wanted to clarify, since these types of drawings aren't always most legible for everyday people.
I agree. It's an unusually shaped lot in terms of the curves coming around, but our great concern is that the driveway would exit right at the curve. And so sight lines at the curve may cause problems with traffic coming in and out of the driveway.
Understood. I do believe this was circulated to engineering, and I'm not seeing any comments from engineering unless I am incorrect.
I didn't see any comments. As soon as that sightline issue was brought up, I did go back to the agenda, and I didn't see any comments from the transportation services in terms of sightlines, who probably are more experts in sightlines than most of us.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we don't have any comments further on this. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Birch, for taking the time. Let's get back to the applicant, Suruj. Can we have Suruj, please? Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I had read the objection letters and I heard Christopher. To be honest, I mean, none of the widening of the driveway is actually not a variance, so it's within the zoning bylaw, what we proposed, and also none of the variants actually relate to the proposed terrace. The trees, we do have an arborist on board that will be making an application to Forestry shortly. And I do know that there is a forestry condition. So we are aware of that, and we will be making an application. And if there's any way of saving those trees, we will. We'll do our best.
Okay. All right. I don't, okay, so I think the responses to, would you like, is there anything else you would like to add in terms of responding back, or you're good for now?
I think I'm good.
Okay, all right. So I take now to the members of the committee. Any questions for Saruj? Any more? Any comments? Okay. If there aren't any, then I take the matter into committee and let's move forward with the motion. Member Saeed, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am ready to move a motion for item number 20 for approval. And there are conditions of urban forestry, which the applicant have already confirmed and acknowledged. They are working on that,
Okay.
which is good. So with that, I move the motion for approval of this application, subject to condition of urban forestry.
Okay, may I have a seconder, please? Member Taylor, please go ahead.
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
All right, all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried unanimously and the application's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we get into item number 22, and item 22 is 38 East Park Boulevard. Okay, can we have Sean Tusi as the agent? Please. Sean, are you with us? Sean, could you say something?
Hello, you can hear me?
We can hear you now. Thank you, sir.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sean Tusi. I'm the office principal at Mimar Architects Inc., representing the owner today.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction, Sean. And would you like to make a presentation or would you start with the questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, we're also making some changes to the list of variances. So with your permission, whenever you see fit, I will start with going through those and then I will do a quick presentation.
Okay, so we typically don't entertain revisions on the floor. I'm not suggesting that we have never done that. We could, but once we have heard your revisions, then the committee will sort of decide whether those revisions need to be deferred or for more examination, or would they be ready for a decision today. So I'll let you start with your presentation and then you can let us know what the changes are.
Sure. So maybe, so you would like me to do the presentation and then go over the changes, or maybe it makes more sense to start with the changes?
Sean, you have 5 minutes. You can decide however you want to best present your case.
Okay, so if we can go over to the list of variances, I'm going over to what is changing. The reason we're changing these is that in the past few days, I've talked with some of the neighbors. As you mentioned, Madam Chair, there has been some oppositions that to the point of one of the members. I believe a majority of it, if not most of it, are as a result of disagreement between the neighbors that are completely out of the Committee of Adjustment. And I would like to ask the members, as you always do, to have that fact in mind as you review the opposition, as you review the fact of this project, to make your decision based on that. Having said that, to respect the request of the neighbors that I talked to, which I believe there are 5 of them out of the list, we are proposing to make these changes to make sure that this is even more decent than what it is. What you have in front of you as a supportive planning, we carefully reviewed the previous decisions, and that's how we came up, but we are willing to even reduce that to accommodate the concerns of the neighbor. With that said, the first item, the permitted maximum lot coverage is 33%. We're reducing the 35.6. We're reducing that to 35. So the number 1 will reduce from 35.6. We'll change to 35.
Sorry, just I got a little distracted. So variance number 1, it's being revised to 35%?
35% instead
Okay.
of 35.6%, and everything else will be eliminated. Everything else will be eliminated. So what you have in front of you is simply a lot coverage of 35% where the permitted bylaw is 33%. A very quick explanation. Everything
Sorry.
you see
So you're eliminating variance number 2, 3, 4, and 5?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what we have is just the 35%, And if we can see the site plan, so I will very quickly explain. So we worked with the owner to change the numbers. Some of these variances, there was a concern with neighbors that not many other people have received them, so they didn't want this to be a precedent. I do acknowledge this is the neighborhood that has not gone through a lot of development, but it doesn't mean that it will not go through development. With everywhere in GTA, we see construction. And to accommodate them, we didn't want to be the first people or only the few people that ask that. And that's why we eliminate them. If you can look at the site plan now. So the 35% makes the houses smaller than what it is. Having said that, we achieved this 35%, the 2% extra, without creating any other variances that governs the math. And in my opinion, that's a very good sign that this variance is minor. We did not increase the FSI or the GFA. We did not ask for any side yard setback, rear yard setback, front yard setback. We did not violate any soft or hard landscaping. And this 35% purely sits in the permitted, the green area of the setback. In terms of the impacts of the neighbors, as you can see, we start very fairly average of the neighbors and we'll finish almost where the other neighbors finish. There is a dotted line that I was hoping that the staff would be able to highlight it that shows the existing house. If you look at the existing house, which is that dotted line, which I believe the staff are showing currently, they're very much in keeping with that. So with that, another 0.5%, we're going to be even smaller. We're going to be, in terms of our projection to the back of the property, in terms of lot coverage, will be even less than what the existing house is. Obviously, we're going from 1 story to 2 story, and part of the concerns of the neighbor is the misunderstanding that they're comparing the proposed to the existing. But the 2-story house is permitted. We're not asking for a variance really for that. With that said, I believe with the changes, especially even before that changes, the planning was in support. There is another application that was approved very close to this with the address of 12 Felicity Drive. They were asking 35.6%. That's how we came up with that number originally. Now we're even less than that. Even with that, they had to increase their building depth almost 2 meters. So they went 18.7. They had to ask for side yard variances, and that one has been approved. So some of the neighbors concerned that this is going to set a precedent. It is not true. We are by no means even close to what that proposal is. Now, even on the lot coverage, we're less than that. We wanted to do that because even if it is assumed or understood that this is going to set up a precedent for the new construction that comes, we think it is very, very reasonable asking, and it is not good, and it's already less than what has been approved in the neighborhood. I have no further comments. If any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Yeah, just a clarification, Sean. So on this site plan that I'm seeing, the hatched bold sort of around the perimeter, that's the existing building, correct? Sorry, that's a proposed. That's a
The
proposed.
dashed line, yes. The dashed line is the existing. The one that is colored gray is the new.
Okay, so one that's colored gray, which is bounded by dark black bold line, is the new, and the dashed line is the existing.
Yes, it's just very, very similar.
Okay, and you made a point that the proposed new lot coverage is less than the previous or the existing lot coverage?
No, well, it's very similar. Like visually, if you look at the dashed line and what we have, the lot coverages are very, very similar. I mean, I don't have the exact number, but like visually, it's very clear that we're not going beyond what the existing building is.
Through you, Madam Chair, I think he was saying that the lot coverage is less than what he's seen approved elsewhere in the community, is what he was saying.
I see.
Is what I heard, please.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the footprint is certainly slightly different. I wouldn't say it's exactly, but slightly different, but that's just an observation here. Okay, that's all I wanted to clarify. Thank you very much, Sean. Okay, so again, for confirming or sort of recapping that the variance number 1 has been revised to 35%, and then the other variances 2 to 5 have been removed or withdrawn.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, Perfect. So we have that captured. Members of the committee, any questions? Katrine
Yes,
can.
Madam Chair.
All right, please go ahead, Member Macaulay.
Could the applicant give us the lot coverage in square feet for the new lot, for his new proposed coverage?
Through you, Madam Chair, we're not creating any new lots.
Sorry, I misspoke there. The lot coverage that you were asking for was in square meters, 464 square meters. You have reduced that, and I was looking for the number, the square footage in reduction. What is the new lot?
So at 35%, what is your,
Yeah.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may, maybe I'm not understanding Member McCauley right. The proposed size of the building is not 464.15 square meters. That's the size of a lot.
That's correct.
So that's the size of a lot.
That is correct.
You're going no?
No.
Yeah, no, Don, you're right. It's 35% of the lot area.
Which is, yeah.
That.
So they're now proposing.
Right. I'm reading this wrong. So if the applicant could give me the total square meters of the proposed house. That's really what I'm looking for.
Oh, so if we can bring the site plan or the notice, probably that we could easily just calculate it very quickly. So the lot size is 464.13 multiplied by 35% times 2. So the house is going to be 325 square meter.
Thank you.
325. And how much is that in square feet? Just need a second.
No, it's okay. I can deal with square meters unless you want to provide it in square feet for the other people that are listening.
For the neighbors, I think that's a great idea through you, Madam Chair.
So if I can sort of divert your attention to drawing number A.02, Member Macaulay, the lot area calculations for the new house is given there, which includes your GFA, your building area, your FSI, everything is there. Just
Except
the one.
for those are out, those are not with the updated percentage is the only problem.
That's
But I think the question she's asking is because she wants to know what the total GFA is, but there is no variance for the GFA, right? So I don't know why we're talking about that.
Okay, so Member Macaulay, Member M is suggesting.
I have the answer, Madam Chair, if it helps, just to clarify for maybe some of the neighbors, if they want to get a sense of how big the house is going to be, it's going to be under 3,500 square feet. It will be under 3,500 square feet, and to be exact, it's going to be 3,498 square feet. So 2 square feet less than 3,500.
Okay, thank you. 3,498 square feet.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's get going with the, because we have a long list of speakers, so I just want to make sure we are good with timing. So we'll start with the first person, David Grieve. And again, I want to reiterate the fact that we have received comments, we have reviewed them. I would strongly encourage all the speakers to stay focused on the application and the variance that is before us now as amended. Other matters related to property standards, to bylaw enforcement issues are not under the purview of this committee, and so we will not be able to help you with any of those concerns. I strongly encourage you to stay focused on the proposed or the requested variances in this application. Thank you. David Grieve.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Please go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
I'd like to turn it over to my son first, if you don't mind. His name is Brian.
Sir, you have 5 minutes. Between you and your son, you can decide who wants to speak first.
Just a second.
We're going to be closely monitoring the clock on this because of the number of residents who wish to speak.
Okay, it's Brian here. Thank you, first of all, for everybody for your time and allowing us to talk. We're a bit surprised how everything, because almost all the objections we had to the variances, we have to reconsider now.
So just if I
So-
can clarify, David or Brian, whoever's speaking, is that the changes that you're referring to is pretty much elimination of variance number 2, 3, 4, and 5. So they are no longer being proposed. For variance number 1, which you've already examined and analyzed closely, that lot coverage is being reduced to 35%. So being revised from 35.6 to 35%.
But once again, my point is that we're just finding out this now. We do not have hard copies. We have not had time to analyze it. And we need this because this affects our neighborhood. And the way the house was designed before was a monstrosity. And my issue before is that basically we are taking a house that's been sewn into the fabric of the community for 60 years, and they're completely demolishing it and putting in something that doesn't fit, not to mention the trees and the canopy, which Mr. Birch mentioned on the previous call. Other concerns we had are about the balcony, because the balcony would completely overshadow our fence and eliminate all of our privacy. The initial height of the house, we have to look at, because that's something that was a big concern, because I spent personally on my side about a couple $1,000s on bee and butterfly gardens and a memorial to my mom who just passed away. All of that light would be gone and everything would be destroyed. So we need to confirm that height. And I appreciate what Sean has said. I just think we all need time to look at this. My other, I guess, question is the history of the house. We're not going into detail, but there's been a lot of concern about the landlords and the fact that it's been a rooming house basically since it was rented out. And we'd like to know how many rooms are going to be in this. Are they going to be the primary occupants? And how many times has this happened before? Because I guess if we're eliminating the destruction of the house, I'm not as concerned because I'm a permanent teleworker. My office is right against the side of the house that faces theirs. My dad's a senior who's not in the best of health. And I guess, first of all, like if they did want to tear it down, this doesn't apply anymore. But why would they not just renovate their own house or buy a lot that's designed for demolition or buy a brand new lot? So I guess what I'm saying, and I don't know if I speak for everybody, but I certainly think we need to have copies of this. We need to have more time because we've got 61 people that signed a petition. That are, okay.
So David or Brian, sorry, I didn't quite catch. Is it Brian or David speaking?
It's Brian, but David's my middle name, so either one works.
Okay, all right. So Brian, when you say you need more time to examine or you need hard copies based on the changes that you heard, I'm just trying to clarify once again. Variance number 2, 3, 4, and 5 are being withdrawn. So basically, variance number 2 that's related to the height is they're not seeking the variance for it anymore. They will stick with what is permitted under the zoning bylaw. Platforms, the variances requested to the platform, that is being removed. They will stay within the permissions of the platforms. Variance number 4, exterior stairs encroachment, they are removing that variance, which means they're going to stay within whatever the permissions are for exterior stairs. And then variance number 5 related to exterior main walls, they are removing that variance, which means they will stick with the permissions within the zoning bylaw. So I don't know what other hard copies you will need to see to be able to see that.
I'd like to see a hard copy because that's my point is we've had 10 minutes to digest this.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Wait, member M, let me finish. I'll come to you. I will come to you. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that the variances are being removed and the revised coverage is 35%. As I said, I can only help you. We cannot go into the history of this application, nor is it under our purview. We're focusing on the application that's before us. So I can certainly help you with your variances, but nothing to do with the property standards or it being a rooming house. You will have to speak with the relevant departments of the city with regards to the rooming house. Yes, we will certainly get the confirmation on the number of bedrooms with the applicant, although it has nothing to do with the application that's before us, which is the lot coverage.
Totally understand that. That's why I'm just asking for the specs from Sean to see how many rooms they're planning on having in this.
Okay.
Because right now we've got about 9 people in there. We've had up to 12 before. and
Okay.
that's not keeping in standard. So I apologize if I just got completely caught off guard, and I'm sure I can close down now and let everyone else speak because there's a lot of people that want to talk.
Sure. All right.
Through you,
Member M, now
Madam
you can
Chair.
go ahead and ask your question.
It's not a question, it's a point of clarification because I think that there's a lot of members of the public here that are not familiar with the minor variance process. So what I wanted to say is that, if this applicant came in and met all the standards of the bylaw, nobody would have any right to review any of their applications or their drawings for building permit. It is only because they had originally requested some relief of the zoning bylaw, which for the most part is now being removed. They are able to build their house as of right, pretty much aside from the coverage. He could have eliminated the coverage, and in that respect, we wouldn't even need to give him an approval. He could go and submit an application for building permit, which is not a public process. So I just wanted to say, your comment with regards to tearing down the house, that is of that owner's right to tear down that house should they want. And if they were not requesting any kind of relief today, you guys would not have been able to have any say or any look over any kind of drawings from the get-go. So the fact of the matter is they had 4 variances. They had 5 variances. They have removed 4 of them, and we only have a coverage variance before us that is very marginal. It's a 2% relief over what is permitted as of right today, where they could just go in and apply for a building permit and be off to the races. So I just wanted to clarify for all of those online today that this is the owner's right to demolish his house should he feel like rebuilding his house. And if he didn't reply for a relief, he could have built a house regardless if it met the zoning bylaws. And what we're seeing before us today is he's meeting all of the requirements except for lot coverage. Thank you.
That's a very good point of clarification. Appreciate that, Member M. And now Member Taylor.
Yeah, if I could just make a quick reinforcement. Well said, Member M. I know we've got a lot of anxiety, anger, whatever about this proposal, but just, I guess, a cautionary note to those that haven't spoken yet. I'll be blunt. I'm really only interested in hearing what your concerns are, if any, with the fact that this proposal covers the lot by less than 100 square feet more than is allowed by as of right. That's really the only thing that's on the table is variance 1. He's allowed 153 square meter coverage. He's proposing 162.4. That's what we're here for. That's the essence of what we're here for. That's all we're here for. Member M said if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be here today. He could build basically what he's proposing. So I hope our I hope our words are helpful in moving forward on this, because it really is. It's quite straightforward.
One last thing. I mean, this 2-story also, as of right. I know that there's a lot of bungalows. However, to have a 2-story home is a permitted use on this property as of right. And so I just want to emphasize that as well. And just like an earlier case today, we have no purview over the design of this house in terms of how it looks, how it feels, its aesthetics. You guys may not like the way it looks, but unfortunately, that is not something that we have any influence over. So once again, as Member Taylor had suggested, we are only looking at how comfortable we are and how much this house covers the lot. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member M and Member Taylor. I think those comments were very helpful in explaining and clarifying for further speakers. On that note, I want to make sure we give an opportunity to every speaker who's registered with us today. So I will move with Lisa Rugas. Lisa, you with us?
Hi there. Hi, Madam Chair. I'm here. Thank you very much. Sorry, and as per the speakers prior to me, Mr. Grieve and his son Brian, I'm sort of caught off guard as well. I feel that possibly this is quite a calculated move, to be quite honest with you. I understand that and I appreciate that they took our comments to heart and changed everything. So that's fantastic. And I do appreciate the explanation from the committee members And I think I'm understanding a bit more now that really this is just about, your department is just about variances, not so much about rooming houses, forestry, what have you. So I can appreciate that. I hope that you will just still understand that we were just taken a bit off guard now with respect to the changes so quick. And even though it is still a minor variance, I respectfully ask that you still maybe appreciate that there are going to be much more trouble ahead for us, and this minor variance may just be the beginning. So whether we can ask for a delay, as Brian had said, just to sort of ensure that this is, I guess what I'm asking, if this is what they're putting forward today, this is what will it be? This is what it will be, or are they able to change this again? And it may not be public knowledge if they want to change this again. So yes, again, I just respectfully ask that if there is a way that we could defer this again. If not, thank you for sort of listening to us today.
Okay, thank you very much, Lisa. The committee will take your comment into consideration, and I have member M who wants to make a comment.
Just to help you, Lisa, understand, I don't believe there is any way that the applicant can come in and make a change to this after the fact, because what will happen is they'll go through a building permit process, and if they find that there are other non-compliances to the zoning bylaw, they will likely have to come back here to get another variance, in which you guys would also receive notification again, like you had done with this one. The only instance where a change could not render that result is if they even further reduced it and was even smaller than what it is today, and it doesn't require any additional relief from the bylaw.
Okay, thank you very much. So may I just ask a question then? So on the drawing that the gentleman had shown, and that it did say proposed single-family two-story dwelling. So I guess just I'm asking, so now that I understand that you guys are just about the variances with respect to the infrastructure that will go on there, is there a way now, or which department do we go to look at now to ensure that once this is built, if it is built, that it is a single family home? And I have to say, I sort of live on the end of this street. It's down about 10 houses from this one, where I do have two rooming houses across the street from me. With between them, there are 20 students and people living in two homes. So I'm just looking at, it's being called a single family home. Is it with your department that you then ensure it is built as a single family home? Or where do we go for that? Are you able to give us some direction? Because this is new to all of us. We have never had to, we're trying to deal with the rooming houses on our end, and now to be newly built and put into the area, which we are assuming, and I will say we're assuming. But as I know that you are not, sorry, I should also point out that I also want you to take into consideration the inside plans, which, as you mentioned, Councilmember M, that we were, or sorry, Committee Member M, that we were privy to see, does show that the upstairs, the second floor, has 4 bedrooms, each with a walk-in closet, each with a bedroom. There's a full basement with a walkout basement. So it just begs the question of what is to come. And that's why I'm asking just for some direction, because we just don't know if there's a way now to go about looking into that. Thank you.
So if I may, I don't think we need to deliberate any further on this. I'm going to be very, very clear and blunt here. This application is not about number of bedrooms. You can absolutely, Lisa, go and speak to the building department or with the applicant, with the owner, to show you how many bedrooms there are. This is a proposal for construction of a single detached dwelling. Family constitution is not under our purview, nor is it any point of discussion. A family can be constituted of as many number of people as needed or as necessary. What we are here today is to look at the proposed variance that is related to the building that is being built. The proposed lot coverage, as amended today, is at 35%. That is what we are considering today. You can certainly contact the owner or the applicant or come to the building department to review the plans at a later date, although that's not a public process, but you can still contact the building department and see what you can obtain to review. I don't want to spend any more time on number of bedrooms at this point, please. Member M.
I'm not saying anything about bedrooms.
Okay.
I'm just saying that there's also a bylaw. So if you have issues with your existing situation, even across the street, your best route is to talk to bylaw enforcement.
Correct. And I think we've made
Thank
that
you
clear
very
quite a
much. I
few times.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for helping me through this as I am very new to this. Thank you for that.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa, for your time. We'll go to the next speaker, Steve Rugas. Or Rugas.
Through the chair, the speaker has not signed in today.
Okay, thank you. I'm assuming it's the same address, so they were the same occupants. Next on the list, we have Farida Sabdar Ali. Can we have Farida Sabdar Ali, please?
Through the chair, the speaker has not signed in today.
Okay, thank you. We go on to the next speaker, Jonathan Joseph Judah.
Hey, this is Jonathan Judah. I'm here.
All right, Jonathan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Please go ahead. You have 5 minutes. Please focus on the application that's before us.
Okay, very well. I am fully supporting my neighbors, Mr. Greaves, Brian Greaves, and Lisa, what they have said. You have my submission on record. You don't want me to speak to that, so I won't. You also have a submission from our local councillor, Paul Ainsley, pushing back against this proposal. All I want to say now, because you don't want to talk about what we have submitted to you, is that it's unfair of the builder and the proponent of this change to throw a lot of changes at us at the very last moment, in fact, at this meeting. So we do need more time to review everything. And we've had a lot of people signing a petition against us, a lot of interest in this neighborhood. So we deserve the time to review again. So I think this should not proceed at this time, and it should go around again, one more chance to look at everything, and the objections may disappear, or they may not. But I think the neighborhood deserves another chance to look at all of this. That's all I want to say right now. Everything else I want to say is in writing, and also from Paul Ainsley in writing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Completely understanding your comment, and it's certainly taken into consideration by the committee when we decide on when the committee decides on it. Certainly, this will be considered. Thank you very much for your submission today, and yes, we do have on record your written submission. Next speaker on the list is Maria Evelyn Judah.
Through the chair, the speaker has not signed in today.
Okay, thank you. Then we have Karen Zarudny. Karen Zarudny.
Through the chair, the speaker has not signed in today.
Thank you. Next one is Mary Curcio.
The speaker is not signed in today.
Thank you, Brian. Next speaker on the list, Rick Bellinger.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Rick. Please go ahead.
Wonderful. I'd just like to add my voice to those of us who were surprised by the last-minute removal of 4 of the 5 variances being sought. In terms of
Can you speak up a bit, sir? Just a little bit more. It's very faint.
Sorry, I'll move the microphone closer to me. The remaining variance request is with regard to the ground floor or the coverage of the lot. And the architect was kind enough to provide the square footage of the house that's being proposed, which is close to 3,500 square feet. At this point in time, none of the houses in our neighborhood even approach 2,000 square feet. So this is going to be a bigger house. That side of the street, the north side of East Park Boulevard, all of the houses, with the exception of one, which is Joan Hall's place at number 28, are single-family, single-story houses. The proposed building actually will read as a 3-story house from the street. The first floor of that house is going to be a full 3 feet above the first floor of all of the adjacent houses on that side of the street. It's just going to be a bigger house than that lot could likely support amongst the row of single-story houses on that side of the street. I do note in the application that they also included a request for removing 2 mature birch trees from the property. Sorry, my husband is here telling me that I need to yell so that you can hear me. Please let me know if you can't hear me.
It's better. You could be louder. That's okay,
Okay.
but we can hear you clear.
Okay, I'll lean in even closer to the microphone. How's that? So basically, the change from a single car garage to the double car garage and driveway and the addition of a rear deck are going to require removal of 2 mature birch trees. There are also city-owned trees in front of and at the rear of the property, which may be impacted by demolition and construction. Has Forestry been engaged, and have they approved the removal of the private trees? Or have they been engaged with regard to any of the city-owned trees?
So urban
That is one
forestry,
request that I would have.
yeah, so I can respond to you right away, is that this application was indeed circulated to urban forestry. They have reviewed it and they've provided one condition only to us for our consideration to include, which is that they obtain a permit or submit an application for a permit to injure or remove a privately owned tree. We've not heard anything about the municipal owned tree. So it's only for a privately owned tree on the property.
Okay, thank you very much. The current lot coverage for all of the single-story dwellings on the north side of East Park Boulevard is significantly less than the 33% permitted by the current bylaw. There is a city-owned boulevard and sidewalk along the north side of the street. On the south side of the street, we do not have a sidewalk. So the lot frontage on our side of the street would support larger dwellings, 2-story dwellings. We do have 2-story dwellings on our side of the street. The other side of the street, there is only one 2-story dwelling, and it is further down the block, and it really fits in with the character of the neighborhood. This, again, is going to read as a 3-story house. The garage is slightly below grade. The front door is higher than the front doors of any other houses on that side of the
Rick,
neighborhood.
I really
Any of the
apologize.
two-story,
I'm sorry, you're very short on time. I really want to hear your comment on the variance regarding the lot coverage. I see your points, but those have nothing to do with the proposed lot coverage. Can you please focus within the next 30 seconds on the lot coverage?
basically, I don't approve. I would oppose or ask that you oppose the variance for the lot coverage because it's going to be a house that is twice the size as any other house on that side of the block.
Okay, all right.
That is it in a nutshell.
Okay, all right. No, that is totally understandable, and this relates to the lot coverage, so that's good. Okay, so thank you very much for your submission. I'm sure the applicant is taking notes, and they will be providing the response to you. Next person on the list, Louise and Michael O'Neill. Can we have Louise and Michael O'Neill, please?
Hi, this is Michael O'Neill. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Very good. I'll be brief. I want to support my neighbors who have characterized the new building proposed as being completely out of character with our neighborhood. And it may not be within your purview, but it certainly affects the aesthetics and our environment in our neighborhood. Also, I agree with Rick Bellinger. The notion is, I don't see why they should get a variance on the square footage of the house. It's already much larger than any other building on our street. So I would request that you do not agree, cancel that variance, and they should be abiding by the 33% rule.
Okay.
That's it. Well, the other thing I thought of, which might be helpful in abating some of the concerns of people in the neighborhood, is they did a shadow study and saw how and predicted how the size of this building, which is going to be significantly higher than anything else, to show how it does affects people's shade and yard sunlight. These things are fairly simple to do, and I think the architectural firm probably has tools to do that.
Okay, thank you. But I just want to make a note here that there's no variance being sought for the height of the building. The building will be built according to the zoning bylaw permissions for the height.
And you're not listening to us. The height of this building, even if it's within the allowed parameters for the siting bylaws, is still going to be significantly larger and taller than anything else in the neighborhood, and it will affect people's privacy, and it will affect their peaceful enjoyment of their property, and this should be reviewed.
So maybe we're not making ourselves clear here. So maybe the point being is that as of right, anybody on the street, including yourself, can build a 2-story house at 9 meters in height. Okay? These are permissions that are granted by the city council through the bylaws to build a 2-story building at 9 meters. So what this applicant is doing is demolishing the existing building and replacing with a 2-story detached dwelling at 9 meters of height. And I have member M and member Macaulay. Before I take you, member M and member Macaulay, I would like to give the opportunity to Michael O'Neill to finish his comments.
You know, I was just saying that because this is a larger home than any other in this on this street, and my neighbors have said as much.
Okay.
I think you should reject the variance on the overall size of the house.
Okay. Thank you for your submission. Appreciate that. Member M and then member Macaulay. Please go ahead.
So I appreciate change is very hard, okay? And that this neighborhood in particular hasn't had a lot of renewal in comparison to other parts of both Scarborough and the city of Toronto. But once again, you know, with respect to the height and your request for a shadow study, this person could come in and build a 2-story house tomorrow and not require a shadow study. And in general, shadow studies from professionals are not required for houses below 4 stories in height. And it's just because we are an urban environment, and in urban environments, there are certain things that you have to be comfortable with, and that is, you know, slight changes to the urban fabric within your community as renewal happens. And so there would be nobody at the city or even us who would be able to review that shadow study since it's not actually required. It is just not part of the process, unfortunately. I know it is going to impact you and change your life, but at the same time, it's that person's right and your right as well to go ahead and knock down your house and to build to those bylaw standards. Those bylaws already exist, and this person's allowed to come in and make changes to his lot as per those bylaws. So I just wanted to clarify and as well as empathize, but hopefully try to explain the process in which this is happening.
Okay, thank you. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is really to the community. Unfortunately, what we have is an application where you have seen plans. There is nothing saying that the developer is going to build in accordance with those plans. In fact, what you have heard today is that he is willing to change those plans. If he builds in accordance with the zoning bylaw and he builds everything in accordance to the zoning bylaw, we would not see anything. You would not necessarily see anything. The only people that would see any change would be the zoning examiner who would issue the building permit. Now, I realize, and we've tried to say to you, we are experienced with people being upset with changes in their neighborhood. And what I am going to suggest is, rather than talking to us about this, we suggest that you talk to the builder and ask to see the plans that he is proposing. He doesn't have to show them to you, but it would be a gesture of courtesy for him to show them to you so that you would have some indication. If we refuse this application, he can still tear down that house, still build quite a large house on that property, and there is nothing that would stop that. That is what happens all over. It's really progress. I also went out to that area to take a look at it to see what is happening in the neighborhood. Notice on the south side of the road that yes, there are two-story houses, and yes, there are double-car garages on that south side of the road. And so although the design of the house may not be the same as what's on the south side of the road, it's got a different materials, the overall size of that house and how it fits into the community is very similar to what is in that area. So my suggestion to you is, rather than ask us to refuse the application, is to talk to the developer and have a better conversation with him as to what is being proposed and see if you can make some changes if they're desired. He may not want to do anything, and he has the perfect right not to. He also has the right not to show it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Macaulay. And thank you, Member M, for your comments. Let's move to the next speaker, Patrick and Susan Brazillo.
Through the chair, these speakers have not signed in today.
Thank you. Moving to our next speaker, Mary Werner.
Through the chair, this speaker is not signed in.
Okay, thank you. Then we move to Eric Isaac Stephen.
Through the chair, this speaker is not signed in.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker is Nana Malar Gerani Stephen.
Through the chair, I have 2 registered speakers that have the same first 6 digits of their phone number. If it's okay, I would like a minute just to clarify which application the speaker's here to speak for.
Please go ahead.
Hi there, good afternoon. Telephone caller from 416261. Can you please identify which application you're here to speak towards today?
416261. What's the last part?
Sorry, my apologies, because we cannot see the last 4 digits. So the person I'm speaking with right now,
Which property?
which application are you here to speak towards today?
121 Park.
121 Park Street. Okay, thank you very much.
So it's not that one, eh?
Through the chair, the speaker is not in today. Or sorry, has not signed in today.
No, no problem. So if you want to know the last 4 digits, I have that. Oh, you can't see them on the screen. I see. Okay. I see. Got it. Okay, so I can confirm that Nana Malar Gerani Stephen is not signed in.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, you're there.
I'm
Perfect.
Nana Malar.
Okay.
Yes.
So Nana Malar, you have concerns with this application?
Yes.
Okay, so please go ahead.
I'm the owner of the house.
Yes.
I'm Eric's wife. Eric Isaac Stephen, his wife, we are the owners.
Okay, all right, all right. So Stephen and yourself, okay, so please go ahead and tell us what your concerns are.
We prefer if we can build as we have originally decided, but still we'll be happy that even if we get whatever the thing is allowed for us to do. And we really appreciate all your help in regarding that this issue.
Okay, so Nana Malar, if I can help you understand, there's an application here. and there's a variance that's being requested for lot coverage. So permitted lot coverage is 33%, and the applicant is requesting, he made some revisions today, and he's requesting that he be permitted a lot coverage of 35%. Do you have concerns with the 35% lot coverage that is being proposed? So it is certainly increasing from the 33%.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy with that.
You're happy with the 35%? You have no questions or comments?
No, I don't have any questions or comments.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Nana Malar, for your time.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
You're very welcome. Thank you. We can go on to our next speaker, and our next speaker is Huda Bashon or Batshon. Huda. Hello, Huda, you with us? Hello, Huda, can you say something, please?
Through the chair, the speaker has signed in and is currently not on mute.
Huda, can you say something? Okay, last call. Huda, can you say something, please? Okay, can't hear Huda. Yeah, I'll check again one more time, but I will have to move on at this point. Nancy Kavanaugh.
Through the chair, the speaker is not signed in.
Okay, Marilyn Marmy. Sorry?
Through the chair, the last two speakers, the first one advised me that she will not be speaking today, and the second speaker wants to register but not to speak.
Okay, so how does that work? Okay, so Marilyn Marmy and Artemis Erdstone have registered but will not be able to attend or will not be able to, or would not want to speak. Okay, all right, so I guess there are no further speakers then. Okay, last call is Huda. Is Huda with us? She is, right? But hello, Huda, can you say something? No. Okay, I can't hear Huda. Sorry for that. It seems like you have some technical difficulties. Okay, so coming back to the applicant, Sean.
Yeah, just for the sake of saving time, Madam Chair, unless you feel needed, I won't address the comments. But just one thing is that my office contact information is on every page of the drawings. Every neighbor that would like to see how the changes will affect the design, it would be my pleasure to share that with them. I would be happy to set up a meeting with them and make sure that they do understand. I would be happy to get their comments, even regarding the items that are not relevant, pass that to the owner, and make sure do my best to really accommodate them. And the one last thing about the rooming house, it is not permitted under the zoning bylaw of that neighborhood. So I can assure everybody that this house cannot, it's not that they won't, it's just that they cannot have this to a rooming house, whether every room has a washroom or not. So if and when that comes in, it will be a violation of a bylaw and everything has to come back to committee. With that said, Madam Chair, if there is anything else, I would be happy to address.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Sean. Members of the committee, any questions for Sean at this time? Any comment? All right, I see none. All right, thank you, Sean, and thank you so much to all the speakers. We appreciate the time you took to meet with us and express your concerns. Unfortunately, a lot of those concerns that were raised were related to matters outside of this committee, so we couldn't help you with those, but we can certainly, the committee will certainly consider your comments as they relate to the lot coverage or the variances that are before us today. So I now take the matter into committee. Member M.
I just wanted to say I'm prepared for a motion. I also wanted to reiterate that, the variances are minor both numerically as well as in terms of impact. And I absolutely felt that even before the modified variances. So now that the variances have been essentially removed, all but one, I would have, like I said, supported these variances had they even remained the same. And I wanted to say that the OP says that there is incremental change and that neighborhoods are not static in time. And there will always be sort of incremental change as a result of that. And this particular dwelling in this particular lot is a perfect example of that incremental change. And it, like I said, the items are numerically minor in nature. So I also feel that it is appropriate for in keeping with the zoning bylaw as well as appropriate development for the lot. So with that, I am prepared to
Just
put
wait.
forward a motion of
I
approval.
see a hand being raised, so just park your motion for a moment, Amy. Member Said?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for giving me this time before the motion is put forward. Madam Chair, with due permission from you, I have a couple of comments on that. Of course, I'm looking at the variances and I was also hearing the comments from the community members. Now, this is an application before us with minor variances 5 and the applicant remove all those variances except number 1. And because of that, all the other variances were no more existing, right? But the factual position is that, of course, when I hear to the community members, one of the point raised by most of them invariably, they were not opposing it, but they were trying to understand and digest the changes which were made at the 11th hour. All right. Now, as a committee member, I'm not looking at the changes are very good. I appreciate Sean. He accommodated all the points there. But at the same point, while looking at the community members' comments and very valuable members there, I have to look, there is an objection petition there, which is signed by 60 members, right? I was looking at the 10 speakers which are over here. Then there are signatures from letters from 9 other and a council letter as well. So it was not the point that they are opposing it or they are not welcoming that. The thing is the community, they were participated, they were part of this process, public process, because there were variances. Now, if the variances has been removed and if this has been between the committee and Mr. Sean, I would have said these are very good changes and I can accept it at the 11th hour, that's fine. But at this time, I have to look into the multiple stakeholders there, which is more than 100 at this point of time. I would say they should be given an opportunity to digest it, to understand it, and we should also be giving and considering their viewpoint before we make a decision. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Before you do, Member M, before you do, Member Taylor had his hand raised. Member Taylor, you had a comment? You're on mute, Member Taylor.
I forget what I was gonna say, but I think I'll respond to Member Said. To be honest with you, I don't understand the logic or rationale for delaying this and allowing people to think about these last minute changes, because these changes remove variance requests.
Yes.
There's in my mind, there's nothing to consider or deliberate on or inquire about.
It's
the
gone.
man is not doing 4 out of 5 things that he wanted to do. All he wants to do is add 90 square feet more coverage to the lot. I said an hour ago, I was waiting to hear from people to try and make a compelling argument against 2% additional lot coverage. I didn't hear any. So I'm going to wait till Member M finishes her motion, and I'm prepared to second it because I think I know where she's going.
Okay.
I just want
Thank you. Please go ahead.
I just want to respond also to Member Said. If this was just a change of those 4 variances and that it wasn't a complete removal, I would be 100% with you, because that would have material changes that they would need to digest. But this is a complete removal where they comply. So, I mean, he could remove all of them and then be in for a building permit tomorrow. So by us delaying this, it's more likely that that's what's going to happen. You know, he will just withdraw his application from us and submit a building permit to meet the 33%. And then all of this goes away, and nobody, none of these 100 people would see anything because it would be straight in the building permit process. We are removing variances. It's different if we were changing the variances. If we were changing the variances, then yes, I agree, people need time to digest. But now they are not at all here or applicable. We only have one. And so that, to me, there's nothing to consider. Like Dawn said, we only are considering the one variance. We're not making changes, we're eliminations.
I echo comments from both Member Taylor and Member M. It's a simple case. The variances are being removed. There's nothing more to analyze or examine or consider. There's one change, one revision to the lot coverage, which was there. I'm assuming the residents have had the opportunity to consider that particular variance. If anything, it is going even less. So that has already been analyzed, in my opinion. I don't think deferring or delaying this application would result in any other thing. Rather, the applicant would just withdraw his application and go straight with the building permit process and eliminate this whole public process and discussion altogether. Member Macaulay.
Thank you. I am sympathetic to Member Said. I'm also sympathetic to the community. I don't think there is a need to delay this decision. The applicant has said his name is on the plans. He is willing to meet with the community. There is a process that if the community is still not happy with what has been decided, they can appeal this to the TLAB. And that gives them some time to meet with the applicant, think about what they've got, and decide whether they are really concerned with it, bearing in mind that if this did not get approved, that still does not mean that the building stays the way it is. That the property has the full rights to be redeveloped completely.
I also
Thank
want
you.
to remind the committee members of our obligations. We have to apply the 4 tests under the Planning Act in order to assess the variance that is before us. There's one variance, apply the 4 tests and make your decision. It's very simple. Okay.
Which I felt that I was doing in my motion, so.
Correct, but, all right. Member
Again?
Said, I saw your hand was raised. Unless you have something else to add, please do, otherwise we need to move forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I don't have to add any further thing. I don't want to delay the process. I do understand that if these minor variances were not there and it was built according to the standards, nobody would have knew this, right? Because 2-story building is allowed and the builder can build that. My only concern was that the community participation was there and we should be responding to the community participation. I appreciate these changes. I am fully supportive of the application and the changes which Mr. Sean made. These are good changes. And John, I am not delaying the process. It's not the intention at all. I am in support of the application, but at the same time, I have to look into the stakeholder participation there.
Okay, thank you for your thoughts, Member Say. They're much appreciated. We need to put forward a motion now. I know, Member M, you were prepared to do so.
Yeah. So once again, I'm put forward a motion of approval for this item, as I feel that it does meet the 4 tests.
As amended?
As amended, thank you. I put forward a motion of approval of this application as amended, as I feel it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act, where it meets the intent of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. It's minor numerically, as well as in terms of impact, and therefore I feel that it's appropriate development of the lot, as well as minor in nature.
Urban forestry condition?
There's two urban forestry condition number 2. So my my approval of the amended application is subject to that condition.
Okay, may I have a seconder, please? Member Taylor?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried unanimously and the application's approved. Thank you. Okay, I believe the next item on the list that was held was item number 24.
Yes, and I'll be hearing that.
Yes, so I
application on
will
your
step aside because of my conflicts. And Member M, it's yours.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 24, which is 120 Gradwell Drive. This is a minor variance application to construct a new two-story dwelling on the lot.
Through the chair. I'm so sorry about this. This is my bad on this. We actually need to change streams, YouTube streams. Can we take? Do you mind if we take a 2-minute recess? Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry. Okay. For the YouTube, for members of the public watching on YouTube, we will be changing YouTube streams. If you want to continue to view the hearing, please go to the YouTube's Scarborough Committee of Adjustment PM stream number 2. Thank you. Which will be available in 2 minutes.